Donald Trump and Jeb Bush went back and forth here on the obscure issue of eminent domain, but Trump is going to pull a really ballsy move here and start berating the audience because the audience is against him. Let's watch, and I want to come back and tell you if this is a net positive or negative for Trump.
The problem was it was to tear down. It was to
Jeb
tear
wants
down.
to be. He wants to be a tough guy.
Down,
He wants to be a tough guy
it
tonight.
was to tear down
I didn't
the
take
house,
the property,
and the net result was you tried.
I didn't
and
take
you
the
lost
property.
In the court.
The woman ultimately didn't want to do that.
That is not true.
And
the simple fact is, to turn this into a limousine parking lot for his casinos is not a public use. And in Florida, based on what we did, we made that impossible. It is part of our Constitution. That's the better approach. That is the conservative approach.
Mr. Trump, take 30 seconds.
Let me just, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times, you'll have, and it doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough is it?
A lot of times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there. So, that's what it is. That's what, and by the way, let me just tell you, we needed tickets. You can't get them. You know who has the tickets for I'm talking about to the television audience? Donors, special interests, the people that are putting up the money. So it is. The RNC told us we have all donors in the audience, and the reason they're not loving me, the reason they're not loving me is I don't want their money. I'm going to do the right thing for the American public. I don't want their money. I don't need their money. And I'm the only one up here that can say that. Eminent domain, the Keystone Pipeline, do you consider that a private job?
I consider it a public use.
No, let me ask you, Jeb. Do you consider the Keystone Pipeline private? Is it public or private?
It's a public use.
Oh, really? A public use? No, it's a private job.
It's a public use.
It's a private job.
Established by the courts, federal, state courts.
You wouldn't have the Keystone Pipeline that you want so badly without eminent domain.
All right, exactly.
You wouldn't have massive, excuse me, Josh, you wouldn't have massive factories without eminent domain.
Now, watching that, I mean, the overwhelming takeaway is, man, that audience is big time against Trump, and Jeb has support here, and they're talking about this obscure issue of eminent domain where I am sure that Trump did fucked up things using eminent domain throughout his entire career. So on the substance of it, no doubt that there's some kind of point there from Jeb. Now, the only reason he actually gives a shit is because he's just trying to tear down Trump. That's obvious. But my takeaway from this is actually the opposite of what you think. I think this was a massive plus for Trump. Why? Because he has this incredible ability to always flip it back on you. He did this talking to Bill O'Reilly when he skipped the Fox News debate, where he acted like, me skipping the debate? I'm not skipping the debate. Fox is making it. Fox is putting me in that position. It's on them. It's not on me. So he flips it. And he makes it seem, even when he's being a whiny little baby like he was, because I don't want tough questions from Megyn Kelly, he flips it so that a lot of people end up walking away from that whole situation going, man, that was a strong alpha man move from Trump, huh? When he skipped the debate because he didn't want tough questions. People go, yeah, that's what a leader does. No, that's not really the case. It's what a weak person does. It's what an insecure person does. It's what somebody who can't take the heat does. But he makes you think it's something where it's a positive for him. He did this once before in a debate moment with Cruz, where he was talking about how Cruz might get a lawsuit because he was born in Canada, and look, you don't want that in a general election if the Democrats sue and question whether or not he can become president. And then the audience started booing him, and what did he do? He flipped it back on the audience, and he said, see, they're booing because they don't want Ted to be the nominee. In a split second, he flips it back on him. Now here, what happens? He notices the audience is overwhelmingly against him. So what does he do? Just nullify the audience. Just say, see, you want to know why they're booing? They're all the lobbyists, they're all the special interests, they're all the people who are backing Jeb, and they're all against me because I'm going to do what's right by the American people. Now, are you ready for this? I think he's at least half right there. He's obviously not right in that he'll do good for the American people. I don't think his policy ideas are good at all. But was that audience packed full of RNC donors and establishment people and special interests? Absolutely. Now, that is speculation on my part, but why did I come to that conclusion? Guys, if you watch the whole debate, you know what you found? There were, there was endless applause and damn near standing ovations and loud responses when people like John Kasich, Jeb Bush, and Chris Christie spoke. Now, Christie, he had a good debate, to be fair to him. But Jeb and Kasich, it was like, they're just them, right? But the audience was damn near giving them standing ovations for very banal comments. And this is something that did not happen in any of the other debates. So how can one explain that? That every single candidate that never got applause before got a lot of applause at this event. The only way you can really explain that is by what Trump is saying, that the RNC invited in people who are in the establishment, who are special interests, who might be lobbyists or what have you, and they want the establishment candidate to win, and he ain't the establishment candidate. So is there truth to that? Look, when Jeb Bush gets an audience really, really excited, something's fishy. So I actually think Trump is right about that. And it's not just me. It's all the snap polls afterwards. Trump won overwhelmingly. He got 65% of the vote or thereabouts in the Slate poll and in the Time poll. Granted, it's unscientific, but it's worth something. And that shows you that people watching that at home, your run-of-the-mill Republican voter, they were siding with Trump. They're like, yeah, that's right, he is telling them. And guys, you have to understand, that is quite literally the Trump card, pun intended. This idea of money in politics, corruption, legal bribery. People are so sick of this bullshit establishment system where it is true that special interests and lobbyists and the rich get whatever the hell they want, and the politicians ignore their constituents and ignore the American people. And though I don't think Trump is actually going to address this problem, man, it's going to gain you a lot of support when you say, that's why they're booing, because I'm for the people, and these guys are all corrupt, and they're funding these jackasses on stage. People at home go, oh my God, that guy's for me, and he's blowing up this whole corrupt system. I like that. So what appears at face value as a huge negative for Trump, with the audience booing him and jeering him and going after him, no, it actually played over the opposite way. They've created the Trumpenstein, and now they can't control him.